Fomniaje, umejiuliza we, hakuna haja kunyamaza kimya na wajiumiza mwenyewe, usinyamaze ongea.
Hi everyone, my name is James and welcome to Untold Realities. Today we have two amazing people who are going to join us in this conversation. And before we go on, I think it is very important to mention that this episode has been brought to you by Gender Violence Recovery Center in line with the objectives that have been set in place by Project Accelerate, which is funded by DANIDA, that is a Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark. And I feel that it is important that we get to understand a little bit more about Accelerate, in the sense that it aims to contribute towards zero unmet needs of contraception, zero maternal mortalities, and also zero gender-based violence and healthcare, and harmful traditional practices. So yeah, now that that is out of the way, I feel it's really awesome that we are here. I'd like for us to just have a simple introduction. Just introduce ourselves, get to know each other a little bit more before we get into a conversation. And as always, ladies first. So we're going to start from that end.
Hi, my name is Makena Muriungi. I am a psychologist.
Yeah, thank you, Muriungi. Okay.
Hello, my name is Dennis Mwanzia. I'm a gender associate at GVRC, and I'm happy to be at this session.
Yeah, thank you. And as I've said, I'm James Mungai. I'm a program officer at GVRC. And there's an intention to having just one lady on the set. So msiogope, ni this very intentional. But today's conversation is going to run around the idea of, I'd like to acha ni phrase hivi, when love hurts. Oh, when love hurts. Looking at the society that we live inside, do you feel that there are times when love isn't as beautiful as the way people picture it? It's not as roses, as sunshines and rainbows when watu wanaiangalianga. Sindio? And in such moments, there is a lot of pain that is experienced as you get to learn about love and get to experience this love from a very young age. Ila time tukiwa wadogo. Kuna kwanga tu na aspect ya kuumizwa inside love. So I'd want us to have a conversation around that. A fancy word for that, and just so that we can get it out there, is intimate partner violence. What comes to mind? What jumps to mind when you hear that word or that phrase, when love hurts? And again, just one or two ladies first.
When love hurts. I was about to quote Adele, but we're not going to go there. So, love isn't as rosy as people want it to sound. Or, we watch a lot of soap operas. We watch Storm Over Paradise, Growing Up, all those funny stories that have been manufactured, in quotes, to sell something that isn't there. Because the reality is love is a decision. It's not a story, it's not fairy tales. It will never be fairy tales. It's waking up every day and deciding whoever you're with is the person you're going to be with that day, despite the fact you might love someone, but you won't always like them.
It's a very interesting way of looking at it. Love, like, okay.
You might love someone, but it's not every day that you'll like them. There are things they will do that you may not like. So when we say when love hurts or intimate partner violence, most people will tend to want to go to the big things. When we hear violence, you want to go to the cups flying and, the amputations and all that. But it never starts there. Before I get to hitting you, before I get to, I hate you so much, I don't want to be here anymore, when I made a vow to stick, or when I promised you the world. Ukimpromisiwa the world, wengine wanaishi wapi?
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it starts from somewhere at the end of the day.
Yeah. lazima ianze mahali. No, we mentioned that it doesn't have to always begin with this huge cup throwing, knife wielding people. Inazanga tu kidogo kidogo. Ndio. And it's very interesting that watu wanaona that the only way you're experiencing this huge thing inaitwa intimate partner violence is only when you're on the media. When someone anakukata na shoka, when someone decides that maisha yako na yake is not worth the living, so I'd rather kill you and then kill myself. So watu wako na hiyo perception that intimate partner violence is just huko juu. Deno, nini ingine unaona watu wanaona ni kitu enye inafanyikanga tu huko juu peke yake, but it's actually a myth around IPV. What do you think are the myths and misconceptions zenye watu wanadhani kuhusu what this huge thing inaitwa intimate partner violence is?
Oh, nice. I'm already liking the conversation, but I would start by trying to bring back what you just asked before you came there. Love is a journey. Nasema mapenzi ni safari. Tunajua safari ni ina changamoto. In the journey there are so many challenges that we go through, and if you decide to reach your destination, now that is what matters now. If you want to go to the destination that you've put, but now in between here now, up on road now we have those challenges. There are good times, bad times, things change in and out. Now, some people will tell you that kwa mapenzi, sometimes maybe because of the culture or religion or what a few other things, a woman lazima akontroliwe, lazima arudishwe kwa njia, lazima yako kwa line. And I want to quote one of this socialite, wife of one of these prominent people we know. Alisema yeye anapenda akipigwa kidogo.
I think I heard that.
Yeah, she said that just the other day.
Wema Sepetu.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No. So she's in the media. I know media is a source of information to so many people.
Sorry
You
to
receive
interrupt.
that a lot.
I really hope she didn't mean anapenda akipigwa kidogo in that sense. Like I really hope.
You know, I feel that, and so you can respond, it's okay.
She meant it because also there was one of the photos where she displayed some bruises on her cheek. Yeah. So that is the literal thing she meant. And again, we've also seen from our cultures now here in Kenya, you know, bwana kama anipigi kidogo anipendi. We've had those kind of things. Yeah. So those are misconceptions, and those are the things that are reaching out so many to people, and they are buying them. And now those are part of that is part of IPV, and how it is being cultivated from even the family level, even to children, to people who are consuming a lot from the social media.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very interesting when you have mtu mwenye ako in such a limelight, mention something like that, understanding the kind of influence ako nayo and what saying such a statement will do. It has a lot of issues around it. It has a lot of not knowing how people will process that. Because unapata that there's someone who will look at that and think and try to emulate kenye Wema Sepetu, the Tanzanian actress, kenye anafanya. But it's wrong. Also, people have this idea out on Adani that just because you don't have the scars, inamaanisha that you're not going through IPV. Just because you can't hauwezi onyeshana, just because hakuna mark venye Dino amesema, just because hauna mark kwa sura inamaanisha you're not going through it. Is that true? Do you feel hiyo ni ukweli ama unafeel aje?
I think that's not true. There are very many forms, as we know, of violence. Or we said we're terming this when love hurts. Pain doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't have to be that they slapped me. If you've gone through heartbreak, you know that it physically hurts. That burn in your chest, that's, yes. It physically hurts, but hakuna mtu amekuchukua knife akakustab in the heart. No one. But it does hurt. There's also the fact that I think on that, a lot of people, again, forms, violence doesn't creep in because it's not beautiful. When we are just seated and we are fine, like, life is good. We don't have problems. We don't have financial problems, which is, mostly what brings about a lot of issues. We don't have sexual issues, because that's also another thing that brings about a lot of issues. We are good. But then nikae chini nifikirie, no, it's too calm. People are attracted to drama, especially in the age of social media. So I will start a fight over nothing. I'm going to be frank. A lot of people have this notion that the best kind of sex you can have is makeup sex. True or false? We've had it.
Wow.
Well,
But
we're being frank.
It's been
It's a notion that's out there that, it's hot, it's better than the normal, just being calm. So we've had normal sex for the longest time, so spice things up, pick a fight. But understand that in as much as it's just something you're doing to get things heated on this other side, it's a scar you're creating. It's a problem you're creating that Mimi, as an overthinker, later I will sit down with that and start, scrutinizing it. I'll start taking it apart. And then that's where the next fight comes from. It won't start far. It's just immediately. So when we are attracted to drama, that's also something really wrong. As you said, in the age of social media where people break up and get back together every day, a lot of people get lied to that love is something romantic. Like, it has to be romantic. It has to be, if you don't sweep me off my feet once in a while, you don't apologize with flowers, you don't do what, you don't love me. As well as, if you don't slap me, which I don't get. When you're counting women, come how, please count me absent.
Wewe uwekwe nje kwa hesabu.
Absent.
Ushukishwe.
I'm from Venus. Your love.
But you've mentioned something, and I love how this conversation is very open, and we are all sharing what we feel around this, and the idea that this is not something na nikitu ume-mention. When we think about intimate partner violence, mara mingi watu wanaangalianga bwana bibi wamepigana, maneiba pale, wale neiba wa number 15 wanapigananga kila time, and the idea is always around ni watu wamekaa kwa marriage miaka hii kadhaa, but intimate partner violence is deeper than that. Sindio? Ni kitu enye si lazima iko in the context of marriage, even in relationships, even at this particular generation that we are in. We have people who are going through intimate partner violence na kwao wanadhani that it's something that inafaa kuwa kawaida. Sindio? Ni kitu, as Wema Sepetu was said, it's exciting. Also influence enye watu wanakuwa from the Western culture. There's this idea that once in a while, having an extreme form of pain create excitement, which again, Vulume mentioned, go into creating an environment for more and more reasons za mtu ku get hurt. So even as tunaendelea na hiyo conversation, unadhani wanaume wanapitia hii kitu ama ni just ladies? Kwa sababu tunaonanga ladies peke yao ndio wana kuanga aired on air. Do you think men actually suffer from or are survivors ama wanakuanga people who experience IPV? Unaona hivyo kama mwanaume?
Yes, kama mwanaume ni ukweli. Most men, and I would say even to me now in the current generation we are living in, hii life yetu sasa vijana, hata mimi I tend to think that we suffer more than even ladies. Apart from now hii ya kuchapwa, unajua hiyo now because of the physical ability, mwanaume ako na nguvu kuliko mwanamke, but now ingine ya kumizwa roho, things like that, men are really suffering a lot. A good example is now I have a girlfriend and mimi kipato changu ko chini kiasi, sina do vizuri na mahitaji yake iko juu, unaona. Yeah, so nitakuwa na strain kutaka apate Kenya nataka nimfurahishe, and I'm not able to. So I think also that one is also a form of now financial violence to mwanaume.
Okay.
Yes.
I think if she's expecting or she's demanding it, then we can say it is. Otherwise, when do unajipea pressure? Na
Yes.
pressure tumeachia taya.
And I expect anataka my man should ama ende mbaba, ala unacheza.
Wababa wa zamani.
So
So
men are facing it a lot, by the way. Then I'd also want to bring the aspect of controlled behavior now to us, or rather to both. No, I'm like, you're not supposed to do this. I want, as in, this person under control, the way you are doing your things. No, hata unapata wezi enda nje kuongea na maboys, ulikuwa wapi? Naona? So that is another form of, now you can say IPV, because now na mna date tu si ati nini, ama nakupigia simu na kuanza kushika moja mbili, ni hivyo imeisha. Usamtafuta ngumu sana, lazima upeleke treat ndo kubali kuingia. Yeah, so there's also that other aspect of now being controlled on the way anataka ukae. And I was in campus just the other day and hizi vitu zilikuwa zinafanyika. Hata kuwa mgonjwa kose kuingia daro na mna date na mko hiyo class, you'll have to explain.
Itabidi useme uligonjeka ukifanya nini.
Yes. So those kind of the things na happen a lot. So men, yes, they are in it.
Yeah, nice. And again, as we are continuing, those who are joining us online, remember, you can also join in on this conversation. Do you think men experiences, wewe kama mwanaume unaona aje? Wewe ushaipitia hiki just because hauna scars, just because hauna mark mali ya kugwarwa, haimaanishi hujaipitia. So wewe ulipitia aje? So just continue joining, continue commenting on that conversation at Gender Violence Recovery Center, at the Nairobi Women's Hospital, at our page. And also, endelea tuita mabeshte, kama uongee kuhusu hizi vitu. Because I know that hakuna time wanaume wanakaanga chini wanasema, by the way, unajua ni aje man? Demu yangu ananiumiza. Jana sijui alinigwara jana. It's very hard to have that conversation. So when you have a platform like this, it's usually really nice. Jifungue, have that conversation, be open about it. So as we continue just thinking about how people are experiencing IPV huku ndani, what do you think are the major contributing factors? What will make it easy for someone to consider manipulating or even threatening? Because you know that gender-based violence includes even the threat of act or coercion or even deprivation of rights. Nini hiyo inaweza fanya situation ikue rahisi mtu afanye hivyo? Tuanze na Kenya kwanza.
Culture, as we mentioned earlier, we are African, we cannot deny. The color of our skin just gives us away, but you know, most of our cultures are rooted in a man-led society. Allow me to just speak on it. So we will have the notion that the man is the head of the house. And I'm not, again, the man is the head of the house. But then there's the notion that what I want goes, whether or not it is right or whether or not you agree. So no. In the past, it's very easy to get what you want through force. We know that the highest, I think, and I've found that a lot of rape cases are not documented because it's marital rape, yeah? But it's not, and it happens to both genders.
So kuna kitu kama marital rape.
Yes.
That's something that actually happens.
Yes. Like, I'm not in the mood, but because my partner is, because my partner is, like, what I want goes for both sexes, and understand that at the end of the day, we say rape is sex without consent, even in the marriage bed. Sindio? So things like that. There's culture. I think there is, as well as culture, social media, as we have mentioned. We're in an age where a lot of us give a version of ourselves online a lot. And in trying to, as he has said, like, your girlfriend has a standard, and you're not up to it, or your boyfriend has a standard, and manzi, hawezi make. Wig ni expensive. Nails ni expensive. Looking a certain kind of way for, his image is expensive, and vice versa. You get? For you to get there, you have to do certain things you really don't want to, or you have to put up with a lot of things you don't want to. I don't know if this will count as intimate partner, because again, this is consensual, but wababa wa zamani.
Baba topic again.
No, I'm just, you asked.
Yeah, and
So,
it's cool.
I'm
It's
saying
cool.
that in a relationship, in a transactional relationship, sometimes you find yourself, there are things you really don't want to do. We have seen the confessions on a lot of social media pages, what I did to get to where I am. I'm not proud of them. Tobo asiri. Those sessions. You see a lot of things people do, and you're wondering, zingine ni forced. But because I want to, I'm staying with this person because they are giving me something. You understand? It's not out in the open. It's not that I will proudly go and tell my mom, "Oh, your gari nilipata manze." I was in Dubai somewhere with a certain dog. You won't go say that. But it happens. And that's why I keep saying that a lot of the things we think are intimate partner violence go deeper. It's you have chosen to be with this person, and that's your partner. Whether or not the things that are happening, whether or not the relationship is transactional, whether or not the relationship is, pure, like from a good conscience, you will find yourself almost doing things you can never really say out loud. As you've said, boys find it hard to sit to their dudes and say, manzi, najua, jana, kuliwaka moto, na si ati mimi ndio nilikuwa bazu. I got hurt. It's hard to say that. But as well, it's why are we in those relationships? I think that's also another factor. It's why people get into relationships. There's culture, there's social media, kuna pressure and all that, but why do you get into relationships? That could be a contributing factor too.
Yeah, that's a very good question, Sindio. And I think Ume mentioned the idea that because you say that love is a choice, na getting into a relationship is a choice. And na feel ni kama kuna watu wanatumianga hiyo as a justification. Ni mimi nilichagua kuwa hapa, so siwezi complain when I experience this. Do you feel nika kuna watu wanasema hivyo? Because I decided ni mimi niliamua nita stay into this relationship, ni mimi niliamua nitaingia into this love. So haina haja ni complain when there is a lot of challenges here and there, or even watu wanajaribu kuidial down. Hii ni kitu kidogo, si kidogo tu, mlikosana mkaifanya mkachapana kidogo, hiyo ni maneno ya kumalizana tu hapo haraka. Do you think hiyo ni kitu watu wanafanya huku nje?
Yes, and one thing I want to also mention on the same is that women tend to stay in abusive relationships with one thing, thinking that this person will change. Na wengine pia wanamuombea tena sana, wanaenda hadi kesha wakisema ata change.
Yeah.
Because one thing, maybe it might be transactional kama venye amesema, there's something she's gaining from this person. Number two, maybe from poverty, maybe situation yake si poa, so this person is financing everything for her. So she's there because she's being sorted out everything.
Analipiwa school fees,
Kila kitu.
anasortiwa
Yeah, yeah.
pocket money. Yeah.
Analipiwa rent na vitu kama hizo. So yeye anaona however much hata nikitoka nitasaidika aje. So she just has to be there. Now this person is there stalking them. Your movement. Siku hizi unaakiwa hata WhatsApp. Hata ukitext mtu hivi anaona, ana read, anajua okay. Mbona umetext fulani? Ukienda tu mahali hivi bora yake maybe your mobile data is on, they see uko mahali fulani.
Technology, my friend.
Yeah, that's another by the form of IPV, yeah, stalking. You're being stalked, your movement. Unaenda tu, unatoka nje, unafika TRM, unasikia ulikuwa unafanya nini TRM? I did not tell you to
Niletee kuku.
No. Yeah, such kind of things. Yeah, so watu wanajipata and they are there comforting themselves that I just want to stay here because 1, 2, 3. Or even I'm helping my siblings from whatever I'm getting from here. Or there are promises of tomorrow's doing nitakufanyia hivi, I'll make you, I'll put for you some business and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's true. Hizo promises zenye zina, you feel that you're indebted to this particular person. Yani kitu moja. And also kuna kitu ngine nataka we try and think about. Do you want to mention something?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Go ahead.
On that, I think when we're talking about violence, in any case, there's always the cycle, and it's the same every time. The cycle of violence is the same every time, especially when you're aware, like, you're in a relationship. And most of us, like, when you get so used to being in the relationship, or mezoeana, meka for long, mko open na each other, and this guy does something and you're like, aki babe, apana, vile ulinifanyia uliniongelesha vibaya last time, and apologies, promises come in, kidogo, something, a trigger happens, and then tunarudia. Like, it's almost always the same. Ndio maana watu uka, because you're used to it. Umezoea, anakuanga hivyo. Like, wanangu, ama my boyfriend, he's really like that. Atakuongelesha vibaya in front of people, or a comment, even your girlfriend will make funny comment or a snide remark, and you'll give them a side eye. Your friends will ask, what was that? Anakuanga hivyo. When the home useme, aki uliniembarrass, alafu, I'm sorry, flowers, whatever, you get a nice cooked meal, whatever else is an apology in your relationship, and then another day, and it happens again and again, and 2 months down the line, it's no longer an issue. Akifanya hivyo uko like, anakuanga hivyo, umeshajiambia.
And ukweli wa mambo ni ati it never stops at that. It's not a cycle that always has the same radius. It always goes beyond. So kama ni matusi, inakuwa next time inakuwa a little bit harder, next time inakuwa a little bit more intense, next time ina move inakuwa kusukumwa, next time ina move inakuwa a little bit mtu anakuslap. So you see, it's never really a cycle with the same radius. It always goes increasing, inapanda. So kuna mtu hapo nje amesikia kuhusu hii cycle for the first time, ana realize, by the way, relationship yangu imekuwa hivyo, nimekuwa nikijustify venye amekuwa akiongea vibaya, na naona anaongea vibaya, then ananifurahisha, then anaongea vibaya tena, then anafurahisha, and every time inaenda get worse and worse. So wewe unaweza ambiaje, tuonyesha perspective ya mwanaume? So kama a lady anafanya some things that are disrespectful and are very emotionally hurting, wacha niweke hivyo, for lack of a better word, that hurt you emotionally as a man, what nini inaweza kufanya ukue clear ku realize hii ni cycle, by the way, this is a cycle? What are the red flags inaweza kuonyesha, by the hapa inaonekana this is a cycle that I am going?
One thing, there will be usually some behavior change. This person hata change. Number 2, hata anaweza anza withdraw hizo gifts anakuletea. Sasa anaanza napata, sasa anakuambia, hebu fanya kenye utafanya nini? Unaona? some things like that. Then even the self-esteem would come down at some point. Yeah, they will feel like now, hata sasa haongei, you can now, there's no room for discussion to solve maybe the problem. They would also withdraw from what they do, maybe the activities they engaged in, daily activities. If on a date now you are in the same maybe environment, a job ama ya school, they'll even start missing out sessions for that matter. So ukishaona imefika hapo, hata no, unajua siku hizi tume-idolize sana simu. No, sasa hapo ni ile blue ticks inaanza kushiba blue ticks sasa. Things start getting worse, even there missed calls, no things like that. So if it gets to that extent, naona sasa this thing is escalating to the worst. So those are some, maybe, according to me, some of the indicators at a relationship, not a marriage setup. For us as guys, kwa relationship.
Okay.
Yeah. Na ikifikanga hapo, anakuanga maybe, kama anataka kujitoa from the relationship, atakuwa ameshaanza kutafuta replacement.
Atafuti ako.
Ashapata. Ni
Ako.
relationship.
Move on.
So ni mse already yako.
Yeah.
Ni njia yenye unaweza jua huyu ashatoka, huyu
Maybe
ashanitoka.
kama anataka kufight for you, but no, some are different. Maybe for unaweza pata dema anataka bado wenye wanataka stay in that kind of relationship bado. Now they'll be over protective, watakuwa all over you every time. No, there's the way these people would behave.
Yeah. Thank you. After realize hivyo, do you think it's different for ladies? Izo red flags that you need to watch out for?
Could you rephrase, please?
Looking at it this way, as a chick, you're in a relationship. As a lady, I'm sorry, pole, woi, not a chick, sawa basi. As a lady in a relationship, ni nini unaweza notice kwa huyu mwanaume that will open your eyes to realize that this is an abusive relationship? I know that what one expect when someone slaps you, that is when it starts. Apo sasa ndio intimate partner violence or apo ndio ubaya inaanzanga. But we know that there are small, as he has mentioned, indicators, small things for you kwako as a lady. Wacha niseme hivyo. What do you think?
So I have never been in other people's relationships. I can only draw from my own experience.
Really do. So want to know.
Chenye nimepitia miaka yangu iliyoliwa na nzige. Anyway.
Just before you say it, let's just continue appreciating. Continue with this conversation that we are going on our Facebook page. Thank you so much, Kim Karis, for what you have mentioned. Thank you so much, Jonte, kwa kuendelea tu emphasize on whatever conversation that you're saying. Asante sana kwa join in, and everyone else. And with Mbogi, wakam we have this conversation because I know that this is something that inafaa kuongelewa. Si mara mingi sana, my boys ama ladies would sit down and decide to openly discuss about this. So, hii conversation, enda uite Mbugi yako tuendele. Sasa tuambie sasa from your side.
First, I need to mention that the other person is not always the toxic one. We have this notion that in abusive relationships, and abuse can be, again, very even emotional, like small things. You understand? It goes wider than just physical, which is what we think about most times when we're thinking violence. But it goes beyond that. We are not, like, the other person is not always the villain. We like to romanticize ourselves. When you get out of a relationship, you're almost always saying, you know, they broke my heart. Kila mtu mwenye alikuwa kwa hiyo relationship mwingine ndio alimuumiza. So where is the truth? You know, everyone, like, we make the other person, no one is ever a villain in their own story. Sindio? So we have to admit that everyone has their toxic traits. When we're talking about abusive relationships and we are calling out your partner, you need to call yourself out as well. This is why, as I'm saying, miaka yangu iliyoliwa na nzige, mimi kama nzige, let me say this. I will admit to Kavaisa used to have there was a relationship I was in. And I'd get pissed and start sharpening knives. Now, I am Meru. So,
Not metaphorical.
no,
This is
no.
utaenda unini.
No.
You sharpen then.
I used to sharpen. Like, it used to calm me down. I never used to think about it from his perspective, Until one day we were talking and he was like, but then babe, you need to put down the knife. So I was like, huh? He's like, yeah, it's very weird because you never sharpen knives ukiwa sawa. It's usually during an argument, ndio nakuonanga kitchen sharpen knives. Like, I played basketball, not a very good shooter, but you understand, like, perceived threat. Again, that was my vice. So when I noticed, we took an oath with GRC. Sometime we are going to stop our own toxic traits. When I did notice, and when he said it out loud, like, he was like, we. Na ile siku utajam vizuri unirushie, what will happen? In my head, it was never, I'm going to throw a knife at you. It was, okay, I need to do something with my hands. Because I don't throw hands, but I need to do something with my hands or just walk away. So the kitchen is very far from where he is, but the activity that's being done in the kitchen after I am angry is threatening. You understand? Haya, that's on my side. There's other small things like, so maybe nimwambia my own red flag. That one should have run. But again, on toxic traits, you asked about ladies. I think it starts small. For me, it's always started small. It's comments on what your body looks like. It's comments on, and when I say comments on what your body looks like, it's people projecting their insecurities on you. I'm very confident I will walk out in a crop top and not bother. But when someone is not comfortable with how you're dressed, and instead of saying, I am like, okay, you're my girlfriend and I don't appreciate the fact that other people have their eyes on you, it becomes a you problem. Like, you don't look nice in that, And it'll escalate eventually and become other things, but it's comments, it's talk. How does he talk to you? Not just in public, because there are people who will be the best boyfriends out in public, but in private, manze vitu, and you can't say it because your friends know. Yeah, couple goals.
Yeah.
Nyinyi ndio couple goals. Your friends know. How can you tell those same friends that manze, this one, he said something mean to me. So utaka nika una overreact, una overthink, things like that. Also, not trusting your intuition. I don't think there are any red flags, but I think you know your partner best. So if he's not what he presented himself to be when he was chasing you, she's not what she presented herself to be when you all were in the honeymoon phase of the relationship, question that, and not question that at with one leg out the door. Relationships don't have to end. That's the other thing. They don't have to end because, again, I know this is very wrong, but they don't have to end because someone gave a trait. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know that they're hurting you. Maybe the fact that, again, I am projecting my insecurities on you. Past trauma. Everyone, like, you're dating somebody's ex. You just have to get in line with that. You're dating someone's ex. And again, as I said, when you get out of a relationship, unless you're very mature, most relationships don't end amicably. So someone got out with baggage from the last one, and they're here trying to prove that, I am lovable. I am the best partner anyone can have. But when they see something that hurt them in their past, we become defensive. And if we don't communicate, then it becomes a cycle of, control. I get you to act the way I want you to act by saying mean things or by being this way. And because our reaction is almost always, I don't want to lose my relationship, so I'm just going to act the way. Instead of sitting down and saying, okay, this happened, and it's not a you against them problem. Defensiveness will bring about an issue, because if you call me out, I become defensive because I feel like you're hating on me. No, it's the two of us against what the problem is.
So knowing how to fight. There's always going to be challenges in the relationship. So knowing how to do it, knowing how to curb that, and also being keen. I think the first step when you umesema ni kujua, being aware. The first step is just knowing that there has been a change. That needs a lot of you being very focused on understanding what the dynamics of the relationship are and getting to identify hizi vitu ndogo ndogo zenye za changing. Na there's a way unaweza approach someone because of that change, and inaweza onyesha that you're bringing it out of love. See, you're correcting out of love. See, could threaten not to elicit that defensive mechanism enye mtu anakuanga nayo, ndio? And wow, there's so much we can cover in all this. But I feel that since we really need to again present another platform for people to continue having this conversation in other spaces, just beyond this, I'd need for us to just mention, what do you think, give me a solution, or one parting shot with a solution. So mtu ako hapo, a lady ako hapo, realize by the ako kwa hii cycle, and realize by the way, ako in the early stages za ku-identify hizo changes zenye zinafanyika kwa relationship yake. What do you think they should do? And sasa tutakuja kwako deno uone huyu mwanaume anaona udem vile anakam tricky, inaonekana kuna ill intention from that. Ndio. So we'll start from that, and then tutakafunga until next time.
I think that if you notice, then you must be very self-aware to have noticed that someone is, anakukamia like that. You need to also, I think that you need to sit down with yourself first and look at the dynamics of your relationship that are contributing to that, and sit down and talk. If it's in the early stages, communication. Talk about it, put it on the table, be honest, be open, be transparent.
Be hot.
Be hot. If you are, then that means that at the end of the day, you guys solve the small issues so that they don't become bigger issues. Like the anthills, I think on a different platform, I happened to mention that I have a friend who keeps saying, if you're always sweeping things under the rug, it'll create a bump, and you will most likely, not someone else will come trip over the rug because it's in your home, you're the one who'll trip over that rug. So when issues come up, talk about them. Don't cover them up with gifts. Don't cover them up with nice letters and, no. Be honest with each other about, okay, this happened and this is how I feel about it. What do you think? Create an open platform, even in your relationship. Before you go tell your friends that your girlfriend is hurting you, have you told her that she's hurting you?
Wow, thank you. That's I won't add anything on that. They know tuambie.
Yeah, mi nataka kuongea na vijana wenzangu, because one thing vijana atuongei, we don't talk, we keep quiet, tunassume I'll get over this. Mi ni mwanaume ni kujikaza, and kuna stats zilikuwa zinaonyesha kwamba men are dying more than women at some age. That's why we have so many wanawake wenye wanaume. It's true, because of the fact that tunajinyamazia. Then also depression imekuwa high on men because of the same issues. So one thing I would advise my fellow guys ni tujifunze kwanza kuongea. We should talk out issues. One, can talk these issues with the people we have, our girlfriends, our wives. We talk to them. We just try and discuss out issues. If things don't work out, you can also try and seek counseling out there. Like if you can come to GVRC, we have units whereby you can be talked to, you can be advised, and I'm sure there are so many other organizations and people who are there to help us. Yeah, tuongee. Then kama ni demu kona, keep them at your means. Tuache kwenda, wacha kumpromise kitu hauna, ati venye alisema heaven ama earth, na wewe wengine wanataka
Dunia mzima.
mwambie chenye uko nacho, kama ataweza na wewe mgrow na yeye. Hata Biblia inasema nini? God blessed them, not him or he blessed them. So atawabless nyi wawili mkiwa pamoja, si ndio? Yeah, so men, tuache ku-exaggerate everything. Wacha kusema mimi niko na Subaru yangu au unatamani, tafadhali. Ukishamwambia hivyo anataka kuiona, si ndio? Makena
Mimi sijui.
Hapo umerukwa. But
yeah. So guys, let's talk, tujifunze kuongea, then we live by the means we can afford.
Yes. Wanaume mmesikia, live by your means. Na for the ladies, I will not touch anything on that. Thank you so much, McKenna, and they know for that. I really appreciate the conversation that we're having. And two things just before we leave, nazataka kuambia. One, there's no justification for violence. There's no one who's going to give you enough reason for violence. Hakuna kabisa. And number two, you always have a choice. You have a choice to decide that what the choice that you made before, you can change your mind. You have the room to change your mind. If you feel that you're not growing, if you feel that as an individual, you are self-aware enough to realize that where you are at the moment, the environment is not conducive for you. You have a choice of moving. And beyond that, as just Dennis has mentioned, we are here as Gender Violence Recovery Center to help you in any way. We have an amazing toll-free number that is free of charge. So it's 0800 720 565. That is 0800 720 565. We're going to have yet another conversation around this. I'm going to have this great people joining me next time. Until then, continue with the conversation. Have an amazing week. Tupatana tena. Thank you.
Umejiuliza we, hakuna haja kunyamaza kimya.